Dan Whittaker. I'm head coach here at the Impact Zone Golf Academy based at Alterations driving range in Cheshire. I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of the correct lie angles on your golf clubs and the effect that this can have not only on where the ball is sent, but the alignments that you'll have at address, and also on the way that you'll try and align the golf shaft at impact in terms of making sure you are returning the club back to, or the planing the golf shaft as I like to term it, which is basically returning the shaft back down to the angle with which it started. Now, first bit is just explaining something here. It's kind of a term that guys are a little bit unsure about. It's called face plane tilt. This is basically where the golf club face is pointing relative to the heel of the golf club being in the floor, or the toe being in the floor too much. So we've got a little video on this right here. So what you can see now is that the leading edge of the golf club is square on the board, and the lie tool is coming off at 90 degrees to the face. Now, if I sit the golf club in the heel, keeping the leading edge square to the ball to target line, you can now see though how that face is tilted off to the left. So a golf club that is too upright will automatically have the face angle closed. So what we then see people doing is, with a golf club that's too upright, they'll compromise it and open the face so that the club, or the sweet spot, is pointing down the ball to target line. But you can see here, the sweet spot's now aiming down the ball to target line, but the club face is open. So it's very difficult to get your alignments correct. Conversely, if I put the golf club now into the toe here, you can now see how the face is opening. Okay? Now, so what they'd have to do is close it if a club is too flat. So the importance of the lie angle is not just getting the correct lie angle, is not just through impact, it's actually always to do with the alignments at address as well. Because the face plane tilt, which is this, has a huge effect or huge bearing on the alignment of the golf club at address. Now you can see with that brief explanation there on the effect the face plane tilt has. Now that has a huge bearing on how well you are able to align the club face at impact relative to your ball to target line. So you may be friends saying that you got the club face pointing miles open, but in fact what's happening is, because the club's too upright, it naturally wants to point to the left. So you then counter effect that by opening the face. So in effect, putting two wrongs into the place to try and make a right. But the simple thing would be, if you got yourself fit to the correct lie angle, that'd make a huge difference in it on things. Now I see a lot of guys being fit to golf clubs that are very upright. Now there's two ways of being fit. You're either fit to where you currently are within your game. In other words, if you currently have a golf swing that comes down and you invert your hand a little bit through impact here, stand upwards a touch, then what you'll do is you'll generally raise the handle a touch, and this will then mean that the shaft will come in higher at impact than it started at address. Then you're going to be fit for where you are currently at within your golf game. If you are looking at being fit for where you're going to, in other words, if you're going to be trying to plane the golf shaft, then you're not going to be looking as much on what the dynamic alignments are at impact in terms of where the sole is contacting the floor, etc. Because depending on the instructor you're seeing, if I was working with you, one of my instructors were working with you, we would be trying to get you so that you're returning the hands back into an area where they started, and for the golf shaft to be returned back to the angle it started on. Now, Ben Hogan was one of the very, very best at doing this. He returned the golf club back to where it started amazingly well. So just have a quick look at the video of this.
Right here with Mr. Hogan, that once we get him towards the top of the backswing, we can obviously, the first bit is to note that the shaft angle is addressed with the yellow line. So now we'll take it to the top. As he starts down, we can see how the shaft traces back down the original plane angle, and how at impact the hands have returned back to the original position. So this was a key part of his golf swing, and something that he always did, no matter what era of footage you look at. This is from Shell Wonderful World of Golf. So this is a lot later in the career than the previous swing, but once again he still planed that golf shaft at impact exactly the same as he did do with the pre.
Now you can see there, Mr. Hogan, how those hands came back through to impact nice and low. It was absolutely fantastic. Okay, so he would be able to be, the static fit of his golf club would be almost exactly the same as the dynamic fit. Okay, he may just have, he will want the edge of the toe of the club to be up very slightly off the floor at address, because what happens is we have a little bit of shaft droop on the way down, meaning that the toe of the club works out to the ball, creates this little bit of droop in the shaft in this direction. See it just flexing there. So that is as the toe works out, the force of gravity and the effect of the club working out to the ball creates this little bit of droop, which means that the club will come down about a degree or so more down with the toe, a degree or so, than it was at address. Now, if we have a look at David Toms on the screen right now.
David Toms here is where the hands are tending to come through is he works his hands over. So the hands are a lot higher in this direction coming into impact here. So you stay up high, which means that if he had a lie angle fit to his address position, what would then tend to be happening is that he'd deliver the toe of the club in to the ground first. So he cannot have the he has to have the club's fit to his dynamic impact position. He cannot go off anything close to what they would be statically, because he delivers the golf club in at a completely different angle.
Now what we saw there with David is that David comes through with the hands very high at impact, come through higher than where he started. So he would be obviously fit for golf clubs that are going to be on what the dynamic movement is, so making sure that every time with the lie board that he's coming through and the hands are coming through on the same angle, working up the same amount of degrees, etc. There's going to be quite a different fit. Now what I like to see the hands coming back through in the same area as where they started. Okay, and what else I like to make sure is that a lot of the guys, you want to have your hands hanging down and you're creating a bit more of a swoop effect from the arms to the golf club in this direction. I see a lot of people who've got the golf clubs not been fitted properly to them, they've gone straight off the shelf, and they stand here, they put their hands up like this, they create an arch in the wrist, their shoulders are suddenly very high, they can't turn them, they take it back with their hands and arms, and the only thing they can do is create an upright arms driven backswing. So straight away, the fit of the golf club has affected the posture. That's then conversely really affected the golf swing in a very negative manner. So they're then putting lots of compensations in to overcome the fact that this golf club just doesn't fit them. Okay, I always like to use a term with people, you know, if you're going to get fit for a suit, you wouldn't get one that was too big for you, and the guy then say, put on some weight and they'll fit you much better and you'll look great in it. You'd walk out the shop thinking the guy was a fool. So we don't want to have that same thing with the golf swing. We want to make sure that the clubs are fit to where you're at within your movement. Okay, and to your body. So it's making sure that the hands are down. We want to see the toes slightly in the air, only very slightly, and make sure that you are in the correct position. Okay, a guy who's got longer arms for his height will generally, won't, even if he's tall, will not need something that's too much longer than standard. Okay, somebody who's got shorter arms may need something longer than standard, even if they're only relatively short in height. But I like to make sure that the lie angle is critical at address, okay, because I want to see the golf club being returned. Okay, you don't want to have to raise your handle too much, leave your arms up to try and get the golf club going straight. So obviously one other thing we need to look at is if it's too upright, you're going to have an effect of the golf club, the heel of the club catching the floor, which will then shut that face down a little bit. Okay, now it doesn't shut it down massively, but it does have a small effect on it. So if you've got a golf club that's too upright, you put into the effect the face plane tilt, then the fact that the heel's catching the floor a little bit first, causing the club to just shut down a little bit. Both of those things together are going to cause the ball to start to go left. You may think you've got problems in your swing. It could well be that the clubs haven't been fit too well to you, or that they aren't actually fit for where you're trying to take your golf swing to. So what I'd always say is, have a chat with the instructor you're working with, See what they're wanting to see within your golf swing, and make sure then that the clubs fit where the direction is that you're trying to take your golf swing and the technique in long term. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you'd like to hear more from myself, please visit my website, which is danwhitakergolf.com. If you want to see more from the academy, that is alteringham.golf.com. Got the Facebook and the Twitter links below, and I very much look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thanks a lot for watching.